Okay. So let's try running this. So we have a few files in here. We have our school.py, we have our runner, and we have our data. So our runner is going to be our main entry point to the program. So if we do Python 3 runner, we should be able to run this. But we see here that we get an error. Runner.py, I bet. Okay, so school takes no arguments. I'm gonna look into school. It's because we don't have an init function and we're trying to send in a name. So I'm actually just gonna copy this init here that was given to us. So now it'll take a name and then it'll initialize staff and students lists for us. And there we go. So we ran it. We were able to print out the name that we saved. So now we have, if we look at our data, we have a staff file that has staff information, and then we have students. So let's try to make a few classes that could take in that information. So student can be defined this way. So I'm going to create here, I'm gonna make this a little bigger, and then this one smaller. There we go. So I'm going to create a students file, or student.py, and I'm going to copy this one over here. So now we have our student defined, and then I can create my staff.py. And put this in here. Okay. So, like it says here, so there is a lot of repeated code between staff and student, namely these four. So we can just create here a person pi. And in here, we'll define class person. And I'm going to copy this one over because we want most of these. So person. Okay, so I only need these four, so I'm going to delete employee ID. So person will have a name, age, role, and password, which is what was in common between staff and students. So I will remove these from here. And I will also remove these from here. Okay. So start with student. So student, I need to let it inherit from person, right? But we don't know what person is. That means we need to import it. So from person, import person. So from the file person, import the class person. And I will do the same thing in staff here. Okay. Okay, so here I need to inherit person. So what am I missing in student and staff here? What am I not doing? So I'm taking in, you guys can just shout out the answers.
You have to write out super.
Yes, so we need to call our person initializer so we can actually initialize these ones. So we call super, which will access the person, right? So we do dot underscore init. And here it's going to take name, age, role, and password. And I'm going to copy this over to staff. So this way, when we initialize a staff member or we initialize a student, it will give us all the attributes that a person would have. And then we would also add, for a student, we'll add a student ID. For a staff, we will add an employee ID. Any questions about this? Any questions so far? Luigi, was your super function attached, like related to this part?
Mine was a bit different. I put like person inside the open and close parenthesis on the left.
In here?
Yep. And then I just went straight to keywords on the side.
You went straight to which word? Sorry. Oh, the keyword. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
star keywords.
Okay. Yeah, for the super, you don't need to put anything in here because we already have, like we only have one inherited property, and this, yeah, this will know that it's a person. Is that why it wasn't working, or?
I ended up making the person object and then start appending that. I should be making the student object.
Mhm.
That's where I went wrong.
I understand. Okay. Okay, so refactor with keyword args. So what this is pretty much saying is, instead of having all of this, we can just say that we're going to take in keyword args, and then we don't have to really care about, I mean, we don't actually have to define it here, but we don't need to care much about the specific ones, or like the order of it. So if in this file it was in a different order and you're pulling it in, you should be able to still send it through into here. So what we can do is, actually first, sorry, I'm a little all over the place. So I'm going to go back to my runner. Also, is this bothering anyone on the left side, like having this on the left side on the split screen, or should I move it? Yes, no. Okay. Can't really see everyone. So, okay. Sorry, I'm moving my chat over. Okay, so I'm in my runner. So this is where I have school. I can create, I'm just gonna call this cleanup equals, I don't want to be a person. I'm actually, let's say staff. And staff is not recognized because I haven't imported it yet. So from staff, and what staff needs is all of this information. Actually, it needs to be in this order. We'll just do this now to check that it's working. Okay, so it's sending in Diana, which should have been my name, but that's good. I can just say it. Okay. So yeah, has anyone had any troubles up to this point? We'll just go on to the keyword arguments then. So I should be able to send in this dictionary, right? So info dictionary equals this. So this has all the information with the keyword arguments. So we should be able to send this into here. So info dictionary into staff. And then if I look at staff, this should take in the correct arguments. So I will need to change this to ** keyword args. And let's see here. I need to decide what I want to do with this. So for here, I can access it with keyword args, open brackets, square brackets, and then employee ID. So this will give me access to specifically the employee ID. And then I can do the same here. So keyword args. Oops. Yeah, Lewis.
I'm sorry, I came a little late. Can you ask me? Can I ask you what's going on like with quarks and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, I get the point up to now, but what I got lost is with the quarks.
Yeah.
The star quarks.
So pretty much I want to be able to send in a dictionary to initialize a staff or a student member. This allows me to have a little more flexibility with the order of the data in the dictionary. So there's an example on here. Oh, that's bad, very bad UI. Okay, so this example here, it's saying, so if you wanted to initialize a student, you would have to have all your arguments passed in the exact same order. But let's say you're reading it from the CSV and it's in a wrong order, you should be still able to initialize it as it is. So the way to get around this is to pass in a dictionary. And this dictionary is, what is it called? Is going to say, like, the key will be the same name as the attribute.
This is like the triple dot string operator in JavaScript, right?
Yes, similar. Yep.
So are we pretty much limiting ourselves to just accepting only dictionaries instead of like individual like attributes?
In this case, yes. Yes. So it'll make a little more sense why. So if you guys remember from when we talked about CSVs, it is a lot of times easier to just use the the dictionary reader, when you're reading the CSV, and that way it gives you a dictionary with the column names, and it'll make this process much easier. So there's a few different ways of doing this specifically, but like I could do this and then send all of these in. I could have just not had employee ID and student ID as a specific one, and I could just have the person class take care of the initialization. So all I would have to do is send the keyword arguments to the I wouldn't have to do anything, actually. I could just have the keyword arguments going into the person class, and it'll already know to take these separate ones. So yeah, so I wanted to show you an example with using this, and then I'll show you with student. We can keep these as they are, but when we send it in, we have to initialize it differently. Sorry, there's so many files up here. I'm gonna just close them all and then open them when I need them. Okay, so if I create this one, this should give me the correct okay. So it gave me an error because I I'm only sending in school ID, not employee ID. So employee ID. Okay, so staff is going to be the employee dictionary, and then I'm gonna create equals student, right? And then we could send in the student information. So student student dictionary. And again, student is not imported, so let's see what their quick fix is. It already kind of, this is just a feature in the editor, so it can kind of check in the folders that you have and it will autocomplete. Lewis, do you have a question, or is your hand up from before?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, I just want to demonstrate this and then I'll answer some questions. So this is this, and then student Diana.name. Okay, so we have an employee and then we have a student. So let's see. Okay, so it's giving me issues because I didn't put the stars here. There we go. So you can put the stars to send in a dictionary, and then on the staff side, it's taking it in as keyword arguments. So it's like putting it all into one variable, and you're able to access each value by putting the keys, by accessing the specific keys. So this is one way of doing it. And then in the student case, I'm just taking them in as I want them. So I know I want name, age, role, school ID, and password. Let's say I don't want password. This is going to give me an error, but that's okay. Or actually here, let me uncomment it just so.
Zainab, can you back up 1 minute, please? Can you go back to the file? You were in the
Can I just
think you were in
finish
the
this?
yep.
Yeah,
Okay, go
just
ahead.
really quick, and then
Yep.
yeah, thank you. Okay, so if I wanted to not have that, init, which one is this? Student.init got an unexpected keyword argument password. So you have to have these be the same as the other one. So that's the only caveat with this, is you have to know which arguments you're sending in. So if you know everything that you're sending in from this person dictionary, then you can keep it like this. But if you don't, then it would be better to access it like we did in the staff one, like this. Okay, Jim.
Can you back up to the, I think it's in the runner dot, that file right there? Yes. So if you're importing in lines 1, 2, and 3, or what do we have there? 1, students, employees. If you're importing this information, why does it need to be restated on lines 9 and 10? I mean, those are database records.
These are just records. I'm just defining a record here.
So you're just kind of using those for simplicity's sake. They're not really going to remain there in code.
No. So these are going
Okay.
to be the rows of information that I'm getting from the CSVs. But for now, because I haven't worked on the CSV part, I just want to test if my classes are working pretty much.
Okay. So they won't, that was my big question. I was wondering why they were there, but in theory, from above, when we look at staff or students, excuse me, that is accomplishing online. Go back one if you would, please. your reference in line 3
Mhm.
is equivalent to what is on line 9.
It is not.
It is
So
not.
it is not. So me pulling student is giving me access to this class.
Oh, okay,
So
yep.
because I have access to this class, I'm able to instantiate a student over here. So this here is used because, or this is here because I want to use it down here, pretty much.
Okay,
So you're
I think
importing.
I'm getting that.
Yeah, yeah.
But in
And
the
if I
long
wanted-
term,
Mhm.
lines 9 and 10 will not remain there.
No, no, no. So this
Okay,
is
good.
just,
That's all I need here.
yeah, this has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the actual students and staff. This is just a dictionary of information.
Okay.
Awesome, good. Any other questions so far? Okay. Have I missed anything in the chat? No. Okay, good. Okay, so now that we know our classes work, let's kind of organize them a little bit. So we know we have our data. Ignore these two at the top. This happens when you run Pi files in VS Code, I believe, and this is just an extension that I have. So or yeah, ignore those. So what we want is our data, and then we want a folder called classes. And this classes will live on the same level as data, right? Actually, let me delete these so we can have a quicker view or a cleaner view here. There we go. Okay, so we have our classes, we have our data. We don't need to change anything in data. We are going to move all 4 of our classes into our classes folder. So student wants to refactor. I'm gonna say skip changes for now because I want to show you guys what will happen. So okay, staff, school, and then our person. This will go into class. Oops, skip changes. Okay, so we have our classes, and then we have our runner out here on the same level as these. So you see now we have some squiggly lines. This is because we have moved where our school and our student classes live. So pretty much to fix this, we have to just update where they are. So this is a good example. So your folder, your main folder is dot, or so we're running our program from runner.py. So this is going to be dot. If it's within the same folder, it's going to be dot slash. Let's say I want to access something inside classes, it would be dot slash classes and then slash student. This is how paths work. So just regular paths in your computer. So you can kind of see where it is. So if I'm in my runner file and I want to access my data, it would be dot slash classes, data slash staff.csv. So this is how paths look when you're importing. So the from is the name of the file pretty much, or your path to that file. So school is no longer on the same level as runner. So we were able to just call school because it was in the same folder. Now it is one level in, so it's inside classes dot school. Same with the student. You see here staff automatically updated because I think I clicked yes when it was asking me if I wanted to refactor. So classes dot student will import student. Questions about the imports? I know there were quite a few things that were a little confusing in the last few days.
So can you go to staff or student real quick?
Yeah.
So person, is that going to throw an error now that we're accessing it from runner? So that was the problem I was having.
So the way the imports work, whatever file you're in, if you're importing based on this file. So in here, I'm using person right here, right? Person and staff are in the same file or folder, sorry. So you can just access it by using person. But from here, runner is out here. And if you want to import school, staff, and student, they changed. So you have to actually access the classes folder and then what file it's in.
Do you mind running it? I'm just trying to figure out where I went wrong, because
Yeah.
when I leave it alone, it throws an error. But when I put that class dot person and staff and student, it works. It's weird.
Okay, I see from person. No module named person. Okay, this is the error that you guys are getting. So this is in staff. Let me delete this.
It's weird because I feel like it's trying to access it from runner, not from within that folder. So it's really weird.
Let me try this one more time.
Trying
mine,
to
I
read
had
the
to-
classes dot person.
Yeah.
Or on mine, I had to do just dot person without the classes, and it worked.
So like this dot person.
Yeah, that worked for mine.
Okay, so now the staff is not giving us an issue, but student is. So student.py.
If you look out to
So-
the right, it's actually giving you the path, or did on mine.
Where here or
So if you did person dot, or as you
Oh.
were classes dot,
yeah.
dot, and then mine gave me a path out on the right. I don't know if that's something unique to my code completion.
Yeah, for here, it's just, it allows you to see these. So yeah, you guys are right. So clear. Now that we've updated this, it runs now. Okay, so I was wrong. Since these are pulling from staff, I guess it's trying to pull person into here. So it needs that classes dot. Yeah, I think I
All
didn't
good.
read this fully, but
It was just hard because if I wasn't running or my test cases from runner and I wanted to just check if staff was working with inside of itself, then I had to remodify the for import loop every time.
I understand. Okay. Yeah, if you have a runner, you should try to run your code through it, since you're going to be making all of your instances in there. That way it allows you to actually, it doesn't matter if you're debugging and stuff like that. That's fine too. But yeah, does everyone kind of understand this part, like the imports of this?
So we're importing anything that file is supposed to be inheriting information from?
Yes. We are, so actually it's, okay, let me say it again. From what I believe, I obviously need to look more into this, but because we're running everything from runner, so actually it could be either one of the two. Either that we're running things from runner.py that we need to have all of our paths be based on like the main directory, or in general, even if I wasn't running it from here, I would need to have everything based off of the main directory. So because of right here for staff, even though staff is in class and it's not, yeah. So the way okay. let me start over. So the way I was saying the dot slash stuff, it looks like for the imports, you're doing the same thing, just deleting the slashes. So classes, and then person. So instead of each slash, you're just keeping a dot. And the first one gets deleted. So here, you're always referencing the files based on the original directory. I feel like I confused everything. Can you, yeah, you have any more questions, or like what, did that clear up anything or no?
For me, it did. It's just, so like in your example there, you have in students class dot person, or you can use like you did in staff, where it was just the dot person for the staff.
Yeah.
The dot is just representing you're going up a directory because it's held in a file.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you can do either or.
Yeah, exactly. And so now if I run this, it shouldn't give, yeah, it doesn't give any errors.
Okay, I think I was confused because I thought we had to distinguish like when to use something before the dot or
Oh,
either.
no, yeah. No, this was just trying two different ways.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
I'm just going one above this. How about if you wanted to go back twice? Is it just 2 dots at that point? I was just wondering.
Let's try it. So class.
I believe so. When I was looking it up yesterday, it was saying 2 dots to go, I guess, up the hierarchy or back,
Mhm.
and then 1 to stay within the current folder.
So if I accept the changes, let's see what, yeah, it adds 2 dots. So staff is trying to take from person, staff is now inside a folder that is inside the folder that contains person. So since it's 1 level down, yeah, you have to add another dot.
Thank you.
I'm assuming is the same thing as saying classes dot class dot person, which I think because class is a keyword, it doesn't like it. Yeah. So yeah, 2 dots to nest 1 more level. More questions? Everyone good to this point? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now for loading the data. Let's open the docs real quick. So I've mentioned this in class before. There's reader and then there's dictionary reader. You can choose to make reader and then make a dictionary out of that, but why do work if it's already done for you? So I'm going to use dictionary reader. So I'm going to go back to my runner. Okay. In here, I'm going to import CSV. And so I'm creating my school. What am I doing? So with open, I need my file name. So I'm going to start with staff. So like I was saying earlier with the dot slash, so this comes in handy when you're trying to open files. There's 2 ways of doing this. I think there's okay, so import OS. So you can find the entire path from your operating system. So, oops, sorry. os.path. And I forgot what it takes.
Was it like CWD or .cwd? Oh, os.path.cwd, I think.
No, PWD?
After path dot
Oh, okay, thank you.
.cwd, I think, or might not be that one. Sorry.
You can do get CWD.
Is it is path a method? And then dot get? No. So it's dot get. No. Okay, we'll come back to the path example. But so when you're trying to find a file from your current location, so right now we're in runner, we want to access the data. So /data/ whichever file we want. So let's say we want to open the staff one first. And for this one, I'm going to put the read flag.
Zainab, is the import OS still working here? Like, is this still helping us or?
No, not at all. So that was for the path example.
Okay.
Yeah. So with open, we're gonna start with our staff. I'm gonna say, let's see here. I'm gonna call this staff reader. Equals CSV dot dictionary reader. And then I'm gonna give the file name, which I did not here. So here you can give it a specific name, so an alias, so you can use it somewhere else. So I'm gonna say staff file. And then in here, I'm gonna give staff file. Okay. So right now I'm just gonna print our staff. Oops.
Oh, the CWD command is on chat.
Oh, cool. And I think CWD stands for current working directory, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll come back to this example in a bit. Okay. Okay, so I'm opening my staff directory. I am going to just print out my reader. I don't think I'm going to get anything useful. Yeah, it's just going to tell me it's a CSV dictionary reader, which is fine. So I can do for row in staff reader, print out the row. This will hopefully give me more useful information. And there we go. It's printing everything out as a dictionary. So I'm going to delete these examples because we don't need them anymore. Actually, I can just print them, comment them out. Okay. So now that we're getting each row from our staff file as a dictionary, I can easily here instantiate a new what is it called? A new staff member. So let's say I'm going to keep track of a list of staff members. So I'm going to say staff members equals an empty list, and then staff members dot append. And for each of these rows, I'm going to create staff using the information that I got from the CSV. So I'm just going to send in row. But because it's keyword args, I'm probably going to have to put 2 stars. So this will take the data from the dictionary, send it straight into staff, instantiate a new staff member, and then append it onto a list that I've created here. Everyone good with this? Make sense? Okay, so let's see what happens. I'm going to delete this print statement, and then I'm going to actually print out all of my staff members. So for S and staff member, print S. Okay, so this is showing me that I have staff members. I can just say s.name, and I should be able to see names. Okay. So I'm not sure why this last person is XX. Okay, that's fine. It was XX in here. Okay. Any questions on this? No? Doesn't make sense? Yeah.
So we're supposed to put the print statement pretty much on runner file instead of the actual staff file.
Yeah,
Runner.py
I would,
instead of
yeah, I would say
stuff.py.
yes. Yeah,
Alright.
just because you're running, you're testing out your code, you should be testing it out from your runner, because that's the file that will be running. And then you don't have to go back into your classes and delete things and stuff like that. This is,
We're just testing it out.
Yeah.
Bad.
no, you're fine. But yeah, these print statements are just to test them out for now. Because we're just building the logic of creating all of our staff members. Make sense? Yeah.
So I'm sorry, one more time. What is staff ** row doing when you're appending?
So this is creating a new staff member. And to create it, so staff here, staff takes in a bunch of keyword arguments, right? We want name, age, role, password, all that stuff. So since all of that is in here, we are just sending in exactly what we're getting from the CSV file. So the CSV Dictionary Reader is reading the CSV file one by one. It's creating a dictionary where the key is the column name, and then the value is whatever was on that row. So if I look here, my first row would be, the first key is name, the person or the value is that, and then same key, value, and then with the second row, key, value, key, value. So it just keeps building dictionaries for us. And what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the fact that it just builds us a dictionary, and we're sending that dictionary straight into our staff initializer. So this allows us to put so much less code. And that is exactly why we refactored, sorry, not school. We refactored staff to use the keyword arguments, as well as student. So student is not really using the keyword arguments, but this is just two ways of doing it, where we can just send in a dictionary and it will take things as they are. Actually, let me create the students. Okay, questions?
Can you just show staff again?
Here we go. Oops.
So you're just making a list of classes? Is that what it's doing on runner?
On the runner, yeah. So
List of classes. Okay.
yeah. So if I didn't have this appended, I would be creating a new staff member, but I'm not really saving it anywhere. So that's why I created a list here, so I can append the staff member that I created, the staff object that I created onto this list, so I can print it out later on. Yeah.
Or the student class, do you have to do keyword arguments for the student as well? For the student file?
For
Python?
Student. To do what, sorry? Oh, the keyword, you could.
Yeah, okay.
So let's,
Just,
oh, you mean like, will it work if we do the same thing?
yeah, so if you did keyword arguments for
Yep.
student as well as staff, would that work as well?
Yeah, let me do that. So I'm gonna copy this over. It's pretty much the same thing. So instead of staff, it's student, students. As student file, just gonna copy student over. Student reader, student file, and then student. And I have not created a student members. Just gonna call it students, it's easier. Here, students equals an empty list. And instead of creating a staff member, I will be creating a student. Okay, so for some students, I will print out the names. Okay, so I've changed everything here. So it should, let me comment this one out. And there we go, it works. So we were able to load in all of the student information as well. One last bit I have, so I only have till 2, I have a meeting. So one thing I wanna touch on here, loading the staff and student into school. So how do you guys think we will do that?
You do it in person and create a class? I don't know.
In person?
You would inherit it into staff and student.
So staff and student already inherit from person.
Oh,
Yeah. So that we did that part when we were building our classes.
Yeah. Is that where we would build it? Is inside a person? So it automatically goes to both of them?
You don't have to, because so we have also the school class that was created. So the school will likely have the information for staff and students. So in here, we would probably want to, we want to create a method to add a student, add a staff member. So in here, we could say, add student. This will take self and a student. And all we have to do to add a student is to access our students list. So self.students append our new student. If we wanted, we could also make a method that adds all the students, so we can just send in an entire list of students and it will extend whatever was already here. That's just if we wanted to do extra, add extra functionality. So we can add a student, we can also add staff. We can take in a staff member and then we can append it to our staff list. Okay, so yeah, Luigi, you have your hand up.
oh, yeah. From the looks of the example, it says student.all students. It looks
Yeah.
like that command is going to be in actual the students file.
Yeah, I did. So I did skip over this part. I kind of went into this one. I just noticed like as I was writing this. So let me show this part first, and then I'll go back to the other one. So we have, this is where we're loading our staff. This is where we're loading our students. So to be able, we already have a reference to our school, right? This is our school. So what do I have to change here to add instead of, so yeah, what do I have to change here to add to the school members? So to go back here, I added 2 methods, right? That enable me to add a student and add a staff member.
Would you pass in 2 extra arguments?
What would those to where?
Where it
So I can help you out if you want. So we have, what are we doing here? So we're opening our CSV file. We are grabbing the rows in that CSV file into a list of dictionaries. We are going through that list, and then for each row, for each dictionary, we are creating a staff member. So currently, we're appending the staff member to a random list here. But let's say I want to actually keep this list or these staff members attached to their specific school. So let's say I don't have this list here because that list exists inside the school, which we saw earlier. So school has 2 properties. It has staff and it has students. And we created 2 methods that will allow us to add to them. So all we have to do is call add student and add staff. So for each row, I can just, what would I have to put here? Instead of adding to a list here, I want to add to the school specific list.
Wouldn't it be school.staff.append?
Yep. So school is this specific school instance. So Ridgemont High, school dot add staff. And this will send this new staff member into this method, right? Also, if you click command or control and you click on like a method or something like that, it'll take you to where it's defined. That's a quick shortcut. So the add staff will take in that staff member and it will append it to the staff list. Does that make sense? How that's flowing through?
It does, but I think the directions ask for a class method to do that. I could be wrong.
So I'm not doing step 3, I'm actually doing step 4. Was it also asking for a class method here?
No, just step 3.
Step 3, yeah. So I'll get back to step 3 in 1 second. So I'm going to change the same thing here. So instead of adding to an arbitrary list, I'm going to add it to the list that is attached to our school. So school dot add student, and we are sending in a student instance that we have created. And so now I can say print school dot staff, and we get a list of objects that are all type staff. And again, we've seen this before. It's printing this out because we haven't specified a way of printing that object. But I can say print school.staff, or I can iterate through them and then print only like the name of the staff member. But this kind of just shows us that it was loaded incorrectly. Okay, I have 2 minutes. Okay, so pretty much this one is saying it wants us to move where we are currently accessing our CSV files. So we should be able to say student.all students, and it returns an array of object that represents all the student rows. Hold on. Okay, so this was, let's see. This is one way of doing it. This is like it said here, it's a design decision. So here it's saying that you should be doing all of this. So all the staff stuff in here, I should be doing it in my staff class. So I should define all staff. And this will give me okay, so this is basically saying to create a method that can be called from our runner that will return our list of staff dictionary. Does that make sense? So instead of creating or instead of calling add staff for each one, I can just create a list like we were doing before. And I'm sorry, this is a little confusing because we were already doing it and we changed the way we did it. So I can't think, okay. Just a list, and then we're saying l.append, and then after it's appending everything, so CSV is not imported, there we go. So after everything happens, we want to return L. And so we want this to be a class method or a static method. Self. So this can be called from the runner, and it will return a list based off of our CSV. So instead of having this code here, I could say, I think I put it in staff, right? So staff dot all staff, and I can assign it to staff list here. And then I can say school dot staff equals staff list. And this is the same thing as we were doing before. So this is just like different examples of how you can design your code. Neither of them are right, neither of them are wrong. It's just comes down to a preference a lot of times, and just the way you want to design your code flow. And I do apologize, I am a little late to my next meeting, so I'm gonna end this